Vance's text messages have leaked and the Washington Post has them. They reveal deeper insight into JD Vance's view on Donald Trump's failures and his actual approval of some Democratic policies. It's really interesting. Let's just get right into it. This is not the first time that JD Vance's text messages have leaked. He called Trump a cynical asshole, America's Hitler. He called Trump cultural heroin in a 2016 piece. He said, "I can't stomach Trump" in an NPR interview. He told fellow Christians in an Access Hollywood video that everyone is watching us when we apologize for this man. I wonder if he feels that same way now that he's talking poorly about Haitian immigrants who are here legally. So obviously JD Vance was against Trump from the get-go, and we know that there has been a gradual, let's just call it a change, into supporting Trump. But this is the first time where text messages have been revealed that are private messages that show deeper insight into how he was thinking and feeling about Donald Trump, the president, and about Democratic policies. So in this Washington Post report, it says JD Vance in 2020 messages said Trump thoroughly failed to deliver. It was messages on Twitter, actually, where he harshly criticized his future running mate's record of governance and said Trump had not fulfilled his economic agenda. Quote, "Trump has just so thoroughly failed to deliver on his economic populism, except a disjointed China policy," Vance wrote in February of 2020. He also, interestingly, predicted Joe Biden would win. Quote, "I think Trump will probably lose," he wrote in a message in 2020, a few months before ballots were cast in an election that Vance would later claim falsely and repeatedly was stolen by Democrats. Funny that. And then Vance's campaign, interestingly, they responded to a lot of this stuff, but Vance's campaign did not respond to the questions about him predicting that Trump would lose the 2020 election. They responded to everything else, but they wouldn't respond to that. Vance also expressed views that appear jarringly at odds with positions he would soon adopt as a politician. In one message, he mused about how the right focused on the harm caused by pandemic lockdowns while underplaying the dangers of the coronavirus. Quote, "I'm sympathetic to the idea that there's a lot of long-term economic damage being done, but it's always draped in this bizarre desire to pretend the virus itself isn't a problem," he wrote in May 2020. And just that next year, as a Senate candidate, Vance announced what he described as a, quote, "cabal of public health experts led by White House advisor Anthony Fauci that he said was seeking to suppress American liberties with unreasonable pandemic restrictions. And as a senator, he pushed to ban federal mask mandates." So this is a man who knows what is right and wrong, but he is willing to push all of that aside for access to power and for attention and favor with Trump. That's who this man is. Vance's campaign spokesman said, just like the billions of other people all over the world, Senator Vance's views on COVID in May of 2020 were not the same as his views on the pandemic in 2021. Give me a effing break. All right, this one's really interesting. In another of the 2020 messages, he expressed openness to a holy grail of the progressive left, a government-run universal health care system, or Medicare for all. In February 2020 message, Vance wrote that M4A, as he called it, is maybe a net positive. Interestingly, Donald Trump attacks Kamala Harris for that very issue, for supporting Medicare for all at one point. She's backed away from it, but even JD Vance acknowledged in private messages that Medicare for all could be a net positive for the country. And in recent weeks, Vance has argued for a strikingly different approach to healthcare coverage, saying federal government should be rolling back the regulations of the Affordable Care Act. So this is the man, again, who is completely flip-flopping on every single issue. And interestingly, Vance gave no hint in the messages of the enthusiasm with which he would soon publicly embrace Trumpism. But he did indicate that he was thinking carefully about his future, and this really just sums it all up. "You're playing a strategic game," Vance wrote to his friend, "the same as me." So, all right, I'm going to take this to a really different place, but this actually kind of gives me hope. And I'm going to tell you why this gives me hope. And that's because JD Vance and every other Republican knows who Donald Trump is, knows what he has not done for the country and knows that the things he has done for the country have been bad, okay? So they know that, but they're under his spell. So my hope is that when we win in November, that spell will be broken, because I really do believe that they are trapped within a cult. And we do need a healthy Republican Party to help us govern this nation. And clearly someone like J.D. Vance knows what is right and what is wrong. He's willing to look past all of that in pursuit of power and attention. And there's thousands of other Republicans just like him. They are not the Mitt Romneys of the world, but they do know that Donald Trump is a broken man who would deliver us a broken country. And so my hope is when we win in November, that the spell can be lifted a little bit. They will have a civil war within the Republican Party, but my hope is that people will start to wake up and speak up and start to say the things that they're saying privately, publicly. Maybe I'm being a little too naive, but that is my hope for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit like in the video and subscribe, and I will see you next time.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?